What's going on YouTube? JT is Warren here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Catwoman, issue number 57, The Gotham War, Part 3. That's right, the event that not too many people really like, I myself included, is continuing the pages of Catwoman. This one is written by Tini Howard, and the art itself is done by Nico Leone. And I do like the artwork. I do got to commend the artwork. I think it looks quite good in this issue throughout. So that is the major pro of this issue. And I guess the only other pro I could really kind of think of is it didn't upset me as much as like the previous issue did, where I was just like questioning the whole thing. And there's a lot of dumb stuff that still is going on. Like the fact that some like Jason Todd is helping criminals commit criminal acts by stealing people's vehicles. Like, I mean, come on now. Didn't you learn, like, being within the Bat family? You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that other members of the Bat family are just kind of letting this stuff sort of happen, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, you're supposed to be superheroes. You're supposed to stop criminals. Now, like, some criminals get more kind of heavy consequences than others. I mean, you're still stealing stuff. You should still go to jail for that. I mean, I know, like, there's some rich assholes in that, but, like, what are you really selling? You're still committing crimes and all that. And then, of course, there's other, like, repercussions of, like, okay, what's going to happen when all the stuff from all the rich people is stolen? They're going to start to, like, retaliate back, and it's going to lead to more violence and all that in the long run. I just don't understand, like, how this is supposed to solve the problem within Gotham City. Like, okay, like, are these crime stats really down 70%? I know that's what the writers are saying, like, hey, look, this is a great solution and all that. That's what it comes across to me, as if the writing within this is saying, hey, it's okay to steal as long as it's from rich people. So I don't know, I don't buy that. Like, that just feels kind of wrong, if you will, like in a Batman, like a superhero comic book, where, like, what kind of, like, principles are we teaching kids reading this stuff? Like, hey, you know what, this is okay if we steal only from rich people. No, it sets a bad example, and I really just don't like the way this conflict is unfolding because of Selina's training all these criminals to become better criminals and therefore commit more criminal acts. Like, at some point, like, what's to stop them from continuing on, where, like, beyond their means and all that? Like, some not everyone's going to kind of fall along with Selina's thing. Some are going to go off the rails, and now they're going to be a lot more difficult to stop because of all her training. I mean, it's not like she's training them like, hey, look, this was a starting thing. Now that we got this money, let's try and do better things for the world. Like what's the next phase of Selina's plan? Is it just going to be continue to train soldiers and steal things? Like, at the end of the day, like, what are we accomplishing? They're not becoming better people. They're just becoming criminals some more. So to me, it doesn't really solve anything. But other stuff that goes on here, and the last issue, if you will, in this event, Vandal Savage showed up. Now he owns Wayne Manor, so I don't exactly know how he did it. Like, it could have been, like, when Bruce was unconscious in those 2 months, I guess nobody else kept up with Wayne Manor. Like, hey, you know what, Bruce, we have the Batcave here. Shouldn't we just try to keep an eye on this thing, if you will? Like, there's a lot of dangerous stuff going on here, but I don't know, like, Bruce still lost most of his money, and the Fox family, I guess, still has it, if I recall correctly, from the events of the Joker War, and they never just gave it back to him, even though it was stolen from Bruce Wayne and all that, and he's been living in the city. And you know what, Bruce losing all this money, it's just not been that exciting. Like, part of the reasons I like Batman is because, well, he's rich, and he's got all these gadgets, and do all these cool things, and yeah, I know, like, they want to take that away and, like, try and get it really down and dirty and gritty, but at the same time, like, Batman's just cooler when he's got more shit to do, more gadgets, and he's a billionaire, he's blowing his money on ridiculous things and all that. Like, there's some cool stuff that Batman can do. Now it feels like we're just kind of taking all that away. We haven't been at Wayne Manor in forever. Alfred's been gone forever. The Bat family is always constantly fighting, and I'm just kind of tired of it. Like, I want to see the Bat family more on the same page, but now here we go, another Bat family conflict. I mean, we had Batman versus Robin earlier on the year where they were fighting. It's like they can never just be, like, cool and on good terms. It's like, okay, hey, Jason, you know how we were cool and on good terms? Well, guess what? 5 minutes later, we're still fighting again. Damian, hey, you know, we were fighting for a couple years. Now we're finally on good terms. And thank God for that, because that went on for a way, way, way too long. Like, I just want to see the Bat family kind of chill. I want to see Bruce, like, you know, super rich again. He's at Wayne Manor, just doing kind of like Batman shit. Instead of this, like, nonsense conflict that's going on with Selina Kyle and her whole, oh, we're only stealing from rich people, and that's totally okay. I just don't like the message that kind of sends with the comic book, if you will. But so she's doing her things. Jason Todd is helping her and her criminal organization continue to commit crimes, because apparently that's so good. Like, that's a great thing to do. At one point, Dick Grayson does come to kind of, like, talk to her, have a little bit of a confrontation, if you will, like saying, hey, look, I wanted to find a neutral place to talk. and ultimately kind of leads to nowhere. He talks about a time that, like, when he went to, like, a gathering with her and Bruce when he was a little bit younger, he sat up at the bar with her and kind of talked, if you will. He ordered a Shirley Temple or whatever, if you will. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all it. So, like, it doesn't really, like, lead to anything. Like, why didn't you have a legit conversation? Like, hey, look, Selina, why don't you call, like, your troops off for right now? Let's talk about this situation. Like, look, this is not going to really, like, work. Like, what are you ultimately, like, leading these people to do? Like, that would have been kind of cool. But no, Nightwing just kind of, like, shows up for a second, and then he's kind of gone. Alrighty then, I guess, like, I guess he's there just to remind her, like, hey, you know, we used to be kind of cool, and now you're kind of being, like, a little off the rails cuckoo. No, not really, like, anything like that at all. But he just kind of came and didn't really have much of a conversation and just sort of left. And then she runs into Vandal Savage, who's kind of doing his thing. We also come to find out that Scandal Savage has been, like, working for Selina, like, this whole time. That's kind of like, she's also has something going on with her father. So he looks to be kind of moving into a bit of a power play into Gotham. We still don't know exactly how he was able to get in possession of Wayne Manor. Bruce was out of commission for 2 whole months, mind you. And apparently nobody was keeping an eye on Wayne Manor, or they just kind of allowed it to happen intentionally because Bruce is kind of going a little crazy. But then again, that kind of puts a lot of people at risk by having Vandal Savage with access to all this technology. And plus, like, Bruce took a lot of your asses all in, and you're not there to kind of, like, keep an eye on Wayne Manor. Why doesn't Dick Grayson just buy it? I mean, he's a freaking billionaire, thanks to Alfred, if you will. Like, wouldn't that have made more sense? Like, hey, I spent a lot of years here. Wouldn't it be a good idea to kind of keep this place at least in like, the Bat family's control, if you will, instead of allowing it to fall into the hands of Vandal Savage, who has access to all this technology and all that? Our secret identities can be compromised. At this point, I don't even know, like, which, like, characters' secret identities kind of even matter anymore within the Bat family, because some of them, like, it seems like everyone, like, they kind of talk about their names out loud in public sometimes. It's like, okay, what villains know and what villains don't at this point? It's kind of just like, isn't it kind of a dangerous thing? Is nobody thinking of these things? But yeah, Bruce is also written to be a little bit unhinged here. At one point, he kind of tranquilized Jason Todd, and he kind of, like, even when Jason was driving on his bike, Bruce just kind of yanked him off it with his little thing. And I mean, that could have, like, severely, like, injured or killed him, if you will. But, you know, Jason Todd seems to be kind of okay here. But yeah, like, Batman is just kind of cuckoo crazy a little bit in this thing too. But still, he is right in that Selina's plan is nonsense. So I guess the point of the story is it just sucks if you're a fan of these characters, because, like, none of them are being written all that well, except for Damian and the other issues. Like, he was the only one kind of, like, thinking clearly, I think, in this whole thing. So yeah, and like I said, this doesn't really fit in terms of, like, what's going on in Batman and Robin right now. The way Bruce is written there, he seemed more in control, more calmly composed, if you will, about all those different situations. But here it's just like, but did this one anger me as much as the previous 2 issues? No, I've kind of, like, accepted the story for what it is, and it's just kind of nonsense. I just think there was a lot more ways you could have gone about having a Batman versus Catwoman conflict. And in fact, this is the Gotham War. We're 3 parts in this, and Bruce and Selina aren't really fighting yet, and I kind of want to see them fight at this point, because I mean, I kind of, like, I used to like Batman and Catwoman as a couple, but then over the course of the past couple years, with all the nonsense that DC has pulled since, you know, the Tom King run, I've grown to dislike these 2 as a couple, and I just want to see them kind of fight. But I think you could have come up with a bit of a better plot line to have these 2 sides into conflict. I mean, Failsafe really should have been the catalyst of the conflict. Like, hey, Bruce, you built this robot, and it caused a lot of damage, if you will, within the city in that. But then again, they just had, like, immediately when that was done, they had night terrors right afterwards. So it's kind of an endless cycle of all the crazy things going on. But Failsafe would have been a better catalyst for, like, why they're into a conflict. Like, Selina's like, look, you crossed the line with this damn robot and all the things that it caused. That's why we're going to fight. But no, not really. Then we had night terrors and all that. I don't exactly know. But I think it could have been a little bit better. So yeah, not really enjoying Gotham War, but didn't hate this issue as much as the previous ones. It did have some nice artwork sprinkled in throughout, so that's a plus. The best part of this issue, which I'll skip to in the end, is the fact that we have a promo for, or preview, if you will, for Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. I mean, I can't wait to read this comic book. Like, that's going to be my most anticipated comic book of, like, ever, if you will. Like I said, it's my favorite things, Godzilla, Kong, and the Justice League all in one comic book. Like, I can't freaking wait for this thing. So if the best part of your issue is a preview for another comic book coming out next month, then it probably wasn't really worth it. But hey, we got a preview for Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, so I'm sold on that, so that has me excited. But anyways, I've run on long enough. Post your comments down below. What do you think of this comic book? What do you think of the Gotham War event in general? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.